The rain had just stopped in a small village outside London, where cobblestone streets still glistened under the pale afternoon sun. The village square was alive with music and chatter as the annual talent fair began. Locals gathered with tea in their hands, and children tugged their parents toward the little stage where singers, dancers, and magicians performed. Among the crowd stood a boy, barefoot, thin, with a guitar that looked older than him. His name was Marco, a 14-year-old from the Philippines who had recently moved with his mother. They had nothing more than a single suitcase between them, and his mother worked long hours cleaning to pay rent in a shared flat. Music was Marco's only escape, the one thing that made him feel whole in a world that seemed determined to remind him of his poverty. He had dreamed of singing before people, but when he saw the polished performers on stage, he almost turned away. His shirt was faded, his guitar had broken strings tied together with fishing line, and his shoes, well, he had none. But something in him whispered, "This is your moment. Don't walk away." When his name was called, laughter rippled through the crowd. People wondered what this small, fragile boy could possibly bring to the stage. Even the judges, 3 locals known for their sharp tongues, exchanged doubtful looks. But Marco didn't flinch. He closed his eyes, held the microphone with trembling hands, and began strumming. The opening chords of Hotel California rang out. At first, it sounded fragile, like a whisper carried by the wind. But then, his voice rose. Strong. Haunting. Pure. It was the kind of voice that carried pain yet wrapped it in beauty. A voice that told stories of long nights, of sacrifice, of hope too stubborn to die. The crowd fell silent. Even the children stopped fidgeting. The melody filled the village square, weaving through old stone houses and across hearts that hadn't felt moved in years. By the time Marco reached the chorus, something extraordinary happened. One of the judges, a stern woman known for never showing emotion, covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Another judge, an old man who once toured as a musician, leaned forward as if he were reliving a forgotten dream. And then came the final note, long, aching, perfect. The boy lowered his guitar and simply stood there, breathing heavily, his eyes cast down as if he had done nothing remarkable at all. The crowd erupted. Cheers, whistles, applause. But louder than all was the sound of a smash. The stern woman slammed the golden buzzer with both hands, sending confetti bursting into the air. Marco gasped, his hand flying to his mouth. He had seen the golden buzzer only on TV, never believing it could be for him. Confetti rained over his small figure, clinging to his damp hair, sparkling on his worn-out shirt. For a moment, he looked like a star who had been born right there in that humble village square. The judges stood. The woman, still crying, leaned into the microphone. "Young man, you have no idea what you've just done. You didn't just sing, you gave us your heart. That's why we couldn't hold back." The old man added, his voice breaking, "Son, I've traveled the world, and I've heard legends sing. But what you gave us today is rarer than all of that, honesty. And honesty in music is everything." Marco's mother, standing in the back with her cleaning uniform still on, pressed her hand to her lips. She had hidden herself out of embarrassment, worried people might judge her. But now, tears streamed down her face as strangers turned to embrace her, whispering, "Be proud. That's your boy." Something shifted in that village that day. A community that once overlooked the quiet Filipino boy began to see him as a gift. Offers came pouring in, free lessons, invitations to sing at events, donations to fix his guitar. Even the local radio station asked to record his version of Hotel California. But the most touching moment came later that night. As the square emptied and confetti still clung to the stones, the stern woman, the judge who cried, walked up to Marco. She placed her late husband's guitar in his hands. A beautiful instrument, polished and perfect, far beyond anything Marco had ever owned. He always dreamed of hearing it played again, she said softly. Tonight, I think it found its new owner. Marco held it like a treasure, his eyes wide, unable to speak. His mother hugged him tightly, whispering in Tagalog, "Anak, this is just the beginning." And it truly was. For Marco, that small London village wasn't just a place where he sang. It was where the world finally saw him, where kindness turned strangers into family, and where a poor boy with nothing became rich in the only way that truly mattered, love, hope, and the music he carried within.